So I'm out in my garage because this is a second channel video. Hello, Zeos of the future. I should have been recording this, every little bit of it, since the dawn of time, but better late than never. So you may recall I bought these from a family friend. He lost his job, he needed money, and he sold them to me for $200 a box. So there's $1,200 in the best garage system there is. But not only do I love JBL, these are a bit like professional concert speaker sort of thing. He used to take him around to do heavy metal gigs. He was a musician. The thing is, I have faith that I can make these sound very good. In fact, you've seen I've done some modifications, and by that modification, I mean I've turned this speaker upside down. By the way, that's like a 110-pound speaker. And then I moved it back a little bit and wedged a broom handle under it. There's a piece of plastic under that one to get the angle right. Eventually, there won't be a car here to do my listening tests. But for now, fuck it. The reason that I bought these last year, and I haven't been able to use them because there was never enough power. I actually stole the Crown 2502s from my front of my theater, and I was finally able to use them. But guess what exists? Fosis exist. The Fosi V3 and the BT20A have that new Texas Instrument chip that can do 300 watts a channel. 300 watts a channel into 2 ohms, which is what these are. Or at least they're a low enough ohm. I don't actually know the specs on it. But I can tell you, because this is not the first, I should have had this, again, the video running from the beginning of time. Yes, a Fosi amp will run this. And since I have 4 Fosi amps, what I plan to do is, this gets a Fosi amp channel, that gets a Fosi amp channel, that gets a Fosi amp channel, and this will get a Fosi amp channel. I'm separating these 2 out because controlling that tweeter, which isn't murder balls, but might be a little bit much, is important, so I have to separate it out. So I just ran down my basement to get a bunch of things to make this happen. I opened up my folding lifetime bench because I had things on top of this bench, and I feel like benches are the way to go. So originally I had one V3 doing both tops to the point where you'd go deaf and it never clipped, it never got overdriven, and never once. I was using the Aoun X5S as my source and a DAC and preamp because that's the little music player. And then tonight I come out here with this, which if you don't recognize it, it's the Aoun Flamingo, and it is a tube headphone amp with pre-out. And I can't stress this enough. The Aoun Flamingo is one of the finest preamps money can buy. You feed it coaxial digital, it'll only take either USB or coaxial digital, but you feed it coaxial digital, and it gives you a headphone out, which is decent, but it gives you RCA outs, which, if you remember my IN5 review, go watch on the main channel, go watch my Kali IN5 studio monitor review, where I had this preamping it, and it changed the world. Like, you put it in tube mode, you turn the tube on and off if you want to use the tube or not use a tube. When you turn the tube on, the volume dipped and the depth increased. Well, now imagine increasing depth on a speaker set that's like 7 feet tall. My baby. Now, this is not going to be just, oh, let's do this and run away. If Mini DSP doesn't get back to me, I may spend the money. Otherwise, I have 2 Mini DSP HDs. These are the analog ones. These are the ones that give you actual RCA outs. Well, I have 4 Fosi amps with 8 channels. So I've got 2 Mini DSPs with 8 channels. And these take Toslink, which I can get a splitter for. So I should be able to, later on in this video, or in a second part of this video, get a Toslink splitter from my source, go boom, have this be the left Mini DSP, have this be the right Mini DSP, and break this out to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll have 4 individually controlled channels on 4 individually controlled amplifiers. So let's see what I got out of my basement. I'm like a hoarder when it comes to these sorts of like splitters and adapters and wires. So here's the thing, like this wire here is a female RCA to 2 males. Perfect when you have a subwoofer that has 2 inputs. You could plug in left and right, and then you would plug your extended wire to this, and you're feeding both channels. I also have the opposite of that, where it's a male up top. Actually, I just used all the same. I didn't have to use the other ones. But yeah, so I used fucking 6 of those. So now I have these two, which are gonna get these two world's best cables. And what these world's best cables are gonna get fed, because we have to have little jumpers, this is gonna be the signal source for left and right, and then they're gonna have a cluster. Boom, 4 RCAs dual providing the exact same signal to these two amplifiers, and 4 providing the exact same signal to those two amplifiers. So there's my left and right. So I could remove, because what I was doing previously, one of the nicest things about these Fosi amps is that if you have a 3.5, they have a 3.5 millimeter pre-out, which means you can plug a subwoofer in with one of these and like a standard 3.5 to RCA wire, and the volume control will control the signal coming in, out, and you could just wire in the first subwoofer. These amplifiers are under $100, by the way, in case you forgot. Fakakta. But now I can remove, because I needed several of them to do jump throughs. So I was doing main source into the V3, then the V3 with a 3.5 out into the 20, and then the 20 with a 3.5 out into the other 20, and that's how I was doing it. So the last one I nailed, and then I controlled the bass with this one, and the V3 was separate, essentially, because it was the master. Now, everything's gonna get its own individualized input. Hopefully there's enough power, because when you do this sort of splitting, I'm taking literally one and giving it 4 different wires. So there'll probably be some loss. I was just running them at about 88 volume out of 99. It was pretty fucking loud. So I should be okay. We're gonna find out. Let's get this plugged in. So now I don't need these. Fuck off. Where's my weapon of choice in here? You with a battery. That's usually when you hear a banging sound in your garage right as the sun goes down. It's usually just like the sun and it's cooling off. But you can never be too careful. You know, this is 2020, so. A nice splitting axe, that'll take care of any invaders. We'll leave this right here, just in case. So we're gonna do left channel, right channel. And the right channel is just gonna happen to be 4 channels on an amplifier. And we're coming out of this. Oh, so I added the Owen Flamingo. That was the reason I came out here. I added the Owen Flamingo, because this was my preamp, and this was controlling everything. But I keep getting reminded by one of my patrons that he loves the Flamingo, and I love the Flamingo. So now, tube pre to these, mind blown. So, these I actually made, because I don't have enough. These speakers are not like normal speakers, obviously. So they have 1/4-inch TRS inputs, or this style speak-on. So this is a professional one because it's locking. You actually put it in, it goes twist. That's why if you're doing a Billy Joel concert, it doesn't accidentally get pulled out. Now these are adapters on here that are just going to mica cables. Same down there, only those are 1/4-inch. So this, what I'm doing with these, is now I can break out the tweeter. And these are just some 12-foot RCAs that I bought years and years and years ago. They're actually for coaxial digital, but they don't care. And then these CESS RCA 2 banana plug adapters, which will go straight into the amp. So I like having, like you could start up an audio review channel. It took me years to have just every adapter I'd ever need sitting in my basement. So now I have to plug this into the high frequency, and then there's a switch down here that I may have to turn with a screwdriver that switches it from full range 1 input to bi-amplification. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna plug everything in. I don't wanna kill this battery because I didn't bring any extra out. I'm gonna plug everything in, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about it. Also, I'm probably pointing up too high. Here we go. Click those on, lower these. One of the other things I was doing, and the reason the 20s are on the bass bins is because these bass bins basically have no crossover in them. You're supposed to cross them over at your source. So they're playing essentially full range up to like 500 hertz. So while this doesn't have a crossover in it, the BT20s do have a tone control. So treble all the way down. I was doing bass all the way up, and then I did bass a little bit reduced to sort of give them that subwoofer actual sound instead of just like whomping mid-range or mid-bass. and it's worked pretty well. So now they're going to be individually controlled also. So I'll be able to tune them in. So it's basically left and right channel on this BT20, left and right channel on this BT20, and then the V3, which is the better amplifier as far as cleanliness for the top, and it'll be left and right channel, or it'll be left and right and left and right and left, however the hell it works out. It really doesn't matter. Currently, the way I have it, it's still going to be one volume pot for this. Controlling this separately would come when I get into the mini DSP aspect of it. I could have one V3 for both of the drivers here and one V3 for these. It just requires me to do some swapping of wires and makes it a little more annoying because since they're spread out on the bench, it's a lot easier for the wires to get where they need to go. So we're ready to turn this on. So these are on, volume down. Main power switch on the world's greatest, the Nikleb. I love the Nikleb. It's the world's greatest power strip. You know what? I'm probably gonna do a review on the world's greatest power strip. So now we need remotes. Here's all our extra wires. So now there's two remotes. They're both on, however you want to say it. This one hopefully doesn't interfere. I know the volume control on this will actually control the Flamingo, which is currently at 80. We do not want to be at 80 for this first test. Usually getting down to 50 is like plenty. So that's ready to go. It's in tube mode. This is currently playing audio. We could test that by going Spider. So right now, hi Spider. Only the bass bins are playing. Also, I don't know why, but these, Spider, you gonna come with me? All right, you run away. The bass bins, some of them were wired out of phase and I had to rip apart the connectors and wire them backwards to make it work. Or just flip the wires around in the adapters. Because I was putting my head here and I was way out of phase. It was the weirdest experience. So now they're all playing in phase and correct. Keeping the wires correct here. So you could hear, this is definitely Made in Abyss. I don't know how the content ID system works on YouTube, if it's gonna pick up just bass tones. So I'm gonna pause that. Actually, I'm not gonna pause that, I'm gonna raise this. Does this have a light? This has a light. Oh, I didn't flip the switch. That would be bad. That would be bad news bears. Real bad news bears. We need a flathead screwdriver. That will do. Because we gotta switch them both into bi-amp mode. Otherwise the amp is feeding to itself, and again, the bears, they'll get bad news. So this is the one thing I didn't do. So boom. That breaks the connection between the top and bottom. I'm surprised I didn't go into some sort of weird click mode. These are obviously, click. So dance. Put it in my mouth. Diesel only. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're golden. I'm a monkey. So now, putting those up, I'm just gonna max the volume out all the way, which on these amplifiers goes to 6 o'clock. Put that down. So now if I unpause it, this should it sounds weird and off. Maybe they're just too low still. I'm gonna put the volume up to 70. I flipped both switches. We are in, unless you can't use, how the hell would this be different? Because this is the high frequency. Then there's full range bi-amp input. Oh. No, but then it would only be the tweeter being used. In case you can't use that and you have to use a 1/4 inch. I don't think the tweeter is being used. Nope, tweeter's definitely being used. Pause. That's strange. Maybe the bass bins are up too high and I'm just exaggerating it because I did nail those to the maximum. So what I should do is tone these back down. That one doesn't go as high as this one. Unless a knob. No, this one actually has more rotation. Weird, because I've actually not compared these two Fosies, but now it is just the... That's weird, sending them both. These should be way louder than this, unless this volume got toned down. Oh yeah, it did. All the way to 53. No, wait, that shouldn't matter. That's weak as balls. I gotta see what's going on now. Unless there's a phase issue between the two. All right, pausing the camera. I'll do some troubleshooting and come back. It just was a matter of turning the volume knob up. Like literally we're at 80, which is where it was. That's mono guitar, I can't play that. These do not need, even though this is just one Fosi amplifier, we're at about 1 o'clock. Any higher than that, it was throwing me off. The balance wasn't correct. I thought I'd have to nail that one and then sort of catch up with this. So actually I have to nail that one and catch up with this. I've got the mini split running. So I'm trying to hear that, if that needs more. I'm taking that to 2 o'clock. Now that they're individualized, I do have to match them either side. But I think, as far as like balance is going, these are both the same. I still don't know why my volume knob on that one, the original one with the orange, goes higher, goes all the way to 6 o'clock. This one stops at a normal spot like 4 o'clock. Oh, what is it doing? Oh. By the way, the entirety of this structure will rattle because of low end. So just know that it's not a great listening area. That's just the wall shaking. Tron. So I can't keep playing it, unfortunately. Yeah, no, there's not much I want to share this experience. It'll probably be better on Twitch if I did a Twitch stream, because then they don't care about the music or they'll mute it after the fact. But YouTube is like, you obviously don't need to buy. I mean, just think about how copyright works. You're playing music. Someone likes that music. Does someone just go to your video every time they want to hear that song instead of buying a copy of it or finding it on Spotify? I fucking doubt it. That's how stupid this is. Obviously, if you find new music through a YouTube video, you are going to search it out in other means that'll probably pay the artist. All right, if I'm giving you the entire song, if I give you a download in the description of, hey, here's a free version of it, then you can be a piece of shit about it. But if I'm playing 25 seconds of a song, I wasn't sure what that was. If I'm playing 25 seconds of a song, it probably isn't costing, you know, Daft Punk any royalties. In fact, it's going, God, I love Daft Punk. I'm gonna listen to it 97 more times on Tidal, where the artist will get paid. So I hate everything. For some reason, right arrow is putting it in pause mode. Play. Yeah, having it in as a tube pre as well. So keep in mind, this is 80 out of 99, and it is quite loud. So we go like 85 out of 99. I don't think we're gonna break my car's windows, but she can hear it. Yeah, every time I next, it like this. Yeah. Okay, so this part of the experiment has been a success. We now have 4 amplifiers, an entire amplifier for this. I would like to break this out and do 1 amp for the tweeters, 1 amp for the mid-range. I just have to rearrange some plugs and things. It ruins the flow of things. But now getting the mini DSPs, if I wanted to use these, what I would need, see now another thing is I could literally feed in from the tube preamp, give a little bit of that tube warmth into the analog, have it become digitally processed and go back out, and you'd still probably have some of that flavor. But the ultimate goal, and I explain this to my patrons, the ultimate goal would be to get one of the new digital mini DSPs, because they ran out of Nano Digis, they don't sell them anymore. They were basically that shape unit, but instead of 4 analog outputs, it was 4 coaxial digital outputs, which meant 8 channels. So I could have used literally fucking one of those to do this entire setup instead of multiple other things. But now there's new mini DSPs, they're about $500. I may invest in one if I don't hear back from the company. I've asked them for it. But what I could also do is get Own, who is selling, this is the Flamingo, which is a single coaxial input or a USB input and a headphone amp. There's a new version coming out that has no headphone out. So it's actually a cheaper, more affordable. It's gonna be under 150 or under 150. And being one of the best tube preamps is like that, I'm so fucking excited. What I could do is I could have my source be a computer, go to the mini DSP. The mini DSP could rip apart the audio into, I think, up to 8 channels, which is perfect. And then I could feed coaxial digital out, or fiber optics converted to coaxial digital, into 4 of those, so that each individual pair of channels would then have a tube pre in real life, not before the conversion, but after the conversion. And that would become the DAC. That would become the DAC. And the Oon is a perfectly fine thing for the DAC. So that's the dream setup, is to have literally a stack of tube pre's, all with individual volume controls, volume control, volume control, volume control, volume control, and have all the actual signal divisions and corrections be in the mini DSP. And if I don't get the DRAC code for the mini DSP, I do have a license for Sound ID, which you can see my review of that on the main channel, because I use that with the Image 2s. And then I could do the 37 points of listening correction with these monsters. One of the other things I thought about doing is, once I have a mini DSP and I could do actual like time domain, to get the whole point of the problem with this speaker is it is 7 feet tall. So the edge of this cone and the edge of that cone are both making sound. So you're gonna get cancellation because it's such a big box. The ideal thing would be obviously like coaxial. I could put the tweeter in front of the driver. That makes it smaller, makes it single point. I could actually bring this whole speaker in front and down to about here, which won't block those. It won't block the ports. What it will do is collapse it. But since that driver is closer, I would have to add a delay to that driver. So if that makes sound down there, it delays slightly, and then this makes sound that it all comes out at one. Essentially making the world's weirdest, largest, it wouldn't be a coaxial obviously, but losing 3 feet of distance between this giant fucking mass and having just a speaker here. I might even be able to move the entire speaker just right in front. Since the back of this is angled, it won't cover, it'll be about here. So it'll only cover about 1/4 of the drivers. And then if I could do the time alignment, I could turn the speaker right side up again, have the tweeter on top, have those sitting behind it, and in the mini DSP, just measure this, literally the centimeters. And in the mini DSP, you could set the delay in milliseconds, and it tells you how many centimeters that equates to. So I'd be adding probably 16 inches, 17 inches, and then I could be like, well, just calculate it out and delay this, play these first, and this on a 1.97 millisecond delay, and it'll all come out cohesively. I'm excited. These things are just a great fucking, these are just fun. This is the kind of shit that I dreamed of as a kid. Like, I wish I had giant speakers, and I wish I could, and I'm gonna do mini DSP. I didn't know mini DSP was as a kid, but yeah, no, I guarantee you these sound way better than they should. For just like giant speakers, the thing is, if you're not driving them to like concert levels, they're relaxed. They're just sitting here just going, yep, hold on, let me just, you want to hear music? You want to just hear some, like that horn didn't kill me just now. I should have died, didn't die. And the only place, like the ideal listening spot is like here. And I can still see that tweeter over the car, so. All right, now I'm gonna die. So let's lower the hell out of that. We're at 85, we definitely don't wanna be there. So I think what I'll do, I'm tempted, I could just unplug the tweeters also. Like if you wanna know what it's like to sound without the tweeter, so we can just drop the hot out of one side of these. And then yeah, so tweeter is doing quite a lot and a little bit too much. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rearrange this now, unfortunately, and because now I gotta have a wire go from there to there and there to there to the same unit, and then I'll have two different volume controls. So I can just tone that tweeter down until the mini DSP gets here, or until I decide what I'm doing with it. Okay, so I moved these here, which was just close enough because I had to plug left into left, right into right. So the ones that were split and just going into two now had to go across each way. So that's about the cluster fuck of what it's gonna be. I stacked these. Turning this on will then enable everything else. Everything clicks on. I lowered the volume on those. I lowered these volume down. I'm gonna turn on the OWN. I gotta flip the switch on the pre. We're gonna lower the pre on the Flamingo. Yeah, go down Flamingo. 80's too much. 69, I like 69. So now, music is playing. I don't hear anything. Okay, AC/DC comes out of the bottoms. This hasn't changed. See how you still hear vocals through that? That would require a full mini DSP correction or some sort of crossover to be like, no, stop it. There shouldn't be vocal, well, if you did, these are not subwoofers, that's the thing. These are mid-bass drivers. These are bass drivers. And that's exactly what they're supposed to sound like. If I turned off the, if I put these to flat, it's even more prevalent. So having that be treble down and bass boosted gives them a little more natural setup in this sort of configuration. So now these, there's the tweeters. This is tweeters. And then this. Okay, so I'm basically gonna max out the V3 that's controlling this, fade the tweeters in with it. It should be literally, I mean, now the Fosi is overkill for these tweeters. I could actually switch back probably to the 35 volt. I might even do that because the 32 volt, I feel like the speakers were less harsh when that was happening. Now I should be able to turn it down. I won't need the full 300 watts for just the tweeter. If you did, you're done. So now that that's nailed, I could bring the tweeters up. I gotta get a song that's not gonna get me copyright. Play. Just bring that like, because you know what, it's not even a lot. It's like 1 o'clock difference. Where if they are both nailed at the top, it should be the same. In fact, I'll test that. We'll have to shut the camera off to do that. But if I nail this to the maximum and I nail this to the maximum, it should be the exact same as I just had it with them split. Because I was still getting a center image. It wasn't like one side was more powerful than the other. And then I'm just going to, although I will say it kind of sounds already like it's more balanced. So maybe there is a slight difference in the two Fosi amps. I'll have to talk to Fosi about it, which by the way, they found out I have a headphone collaboration coming and they're immediately like, hey, how do collaborations work? We want to do that. So there might be a Fosi collaboration. I know what I would want. I'd want a headphone amp made out of a speaker amp. Why? Rainbow twinkles. You know what? This is clearer. It's already clear. How is it like that? Even just that kid was just like natural. I mean, I don't have the bass bins on, which is probably helping for the naturalness, so it's not stretching the sound coming from its smaller point than the whole thing. But I mean, that sounded fucking. I'm gonna pause this and just fuck around for a little bit. Hold on. I know what it is. I figured it out. I actually swapped which amplifier was doing the tweeter and the mid-range to test this theory, and it's the same. So the tweeters are definitely reduced because I'm using a coaxial digital RCA cable, which are a 75 ohm cable. Coaxial digital actually requires resistance on the cable to work properly. And these are 12-foot coaxial digital cables. So these are actually getting a resistive load because of the cable. Do cables make a difference? Yes. Here you go, proof positive. Because I'm using the same amps that when I put them together, we're doing the same thing. But now there's this cable is actually acting as a resistor for this fucking tweeter, which is like the greatest fucking like accidental win in the history of mankind. Because now it's subtly perfect. Just subtly perfect. It should have, but here's the thing though. I was using that same cable when I had them wired to one amplifier, left and right channel. So it should have been reduced regardless of that. Yet for some reason, when I use it on both on one amplifier, it feels like it's doing that. I don't get it. These are both nailed to the top. One's using mica cables, 14 gauge cables. The other is using the adapters with the RCAs. And yet I can't get the tweeters to be loud enough to hurt me. It's a strange thing. Maybe the load, the only other thing it could be is that when you separate it out and the load from just the tweeters is present to both channels on the amp is like, woo. So either maybe these are 1 ohm or maybe these are like 8 ohm. And when you have it, when you flip the switch to set it to do individual speaker or set it to do individual, do left and right, the Texas Instrument chip can't accommodate and it just sort of goes, fuck it, I guess I'll do the highest power output. I don't know. This is one of those I don't know things. Things are happening. There's a digital switching supply in here. I should be able to turn that knob up. Well, now that knob, and kill me with the tweeters, because I'm on 85, and it is smooth as fucking butter. Oh God, it's just so clean.
X-ray report, take 3.
Please don't kill me. The blending of that is like spot on. So you know what? I would accept a resistive cable load as the answer to this. The only way to tell would be to swap them out, and I don't have enough cables to do it where this is getting the coaxial digital cable and this is getting straight raw speaker wire. I just don't have the cables because the connectors in the back are different. I'd have to, this can only be driven by, it can be driven by it, but I can't drive this with anything but the 1/4 inch, and I literally don't have the cables. I'd have to swap the bottoms and the tops, and that's too much fucking work. Just take the win. Take the W, Zeos. Take the fucking W. Also, I want to point out that when I first set these up, they were closer, and then I got the longer cables, and then I put them in the middle, and then I moved the quad, because the quad was back there, now the quad's sort of like in the fucking middle. By the way, nice quad, isn't it? I don't use it nearly enough, and I need to get less. Murder tires. You know what that does to grass? Bad things. But I drove through like 30 inches of snow with it when I had the bad snowstorm, and it's like, loo, loo, loo. It just like scoops it out. So I'll get some real nice normal tires for this thing. It'll be lower and just, I'm so afraid. It's so narrow too. Like because these tires are so fucking tall, it's like, whoop. It's called the high lifter for a reason. Anyway, so the placement of these speakers was a big thing. I was here, my friend Brandon, we were working on the truck. I had this pulled out and I just kept moving and turning and moving and turning until I realized, like I figured out the center where I need to stand. We use this crack as the center line of the garage, which it is literally the center line of the garage. And then you sort of like walk forward until you see the back of the speakers and get the distance right. And like an inch would kill you. 2 inches off will just throw everything out of phase. Because you'll hear that one first, then you'll hear this one, and then the center image is gone. So where they are now, we're pretty close. This one rolled when I opened the cabinet behind it. But, and I got those faded in back to like 130. It just sounds like a high quality speaker at this point. A very, very volume capable here. I will give you all, this sounds like a song that's not gonna murder us. 99 out of 100, 99 out of 99. This is as loud as I can get the system to go right now. Pray that the pause button works again. That is slightly loud. See, the thing about the GoPro is it uses a compression algorithm, so when you're whispering, when you're whispering into it, it still sounds audible and clear. But when you attach it to a Formula One car and go, it's all the same volume. It doesn't get louder. So when I turn the volume up on this to murder levels, it doesn't sound any louder for people on YouTube. I'd have to have a decibel meter to actually show it off. Or regular mics that distort like a motherfucker. Is that Top Gun? What is playing? The man, the legend, it's gotta be Top Gun. Touchdown? The man, the legend, touchdown, Flack, it's gotta be Top Gun. Come on, let me know. Harold Faltermeyer, definitely Top Gun. All right, I'm gonna hit next track, we're gonna pray. Pray.
Listen. Do you want to know a secret? Move with me inside the strange world of the 12-inch.
Yeah, no, that's some Frankie Goes to Hollywood. So yeah, I'm gonna lower that down to not be 99 because I should not be in here with them while they're that fucking loud. 86 will be fine. Decent show. Second season threw me off. First season was amazing. Second season I was like, what the fuck is this? We good? This part of the video is done. I don't know if I'm uploading it just this or if I'm gonna edit together with the later ones. I'll have to download the camera anyway. And then, so this video either is gonna end here and I'll see you all and thank you for being patrons and subscribes to our subscribers, or it's gonna continue on for another 75 fucking minutes as I do this entire project in one video. You let me know.